the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey guys, how are you? It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's always great to be with you on any one of my shows, including the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Today is June 13, 2025, if you're watching us live here on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. And boy, do I have a lot to share with you tonight. So, the title for tonight's show is Musk, Misinformation, and Microchips. Series 4, Show 24. Yeah. Hey guys, if you're hungry, I don't want you to be famished watching the show. Please do go to your kitchen, get yourself something delicious, something wonderful to eat, something good to drink. Maybe it's hot, maybe it's cold, maybe it's sweet, maybe it's sour. It doesn't really matter. Go ahead and do that now. We'll be very, very grateful for that. I know you will definitely enjoy that as you kick back, relax, and of course, enjoy the show. All right, guys. And remember to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for, of course, more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's kick off the show. All right. So first thing I want to talk about is something pretty cool, and that is some great topics. But I do want to let you know that the J Moore Tech Talk Show is where innovation meets the true headlines. I'm your host, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, podcast coach, and host, video producer, and of course, a tech visionary. The J Moore Tech Talk Show dives into the pulse of global technology, innovation, and policies that are affecting you and your business and your family. Each week, I unpack the most, let's say, really cool stories and developments from around the globe, from AI breakthroughs to space program shifts, corporate leadership changes to groundbreaking accessibility tech. Whether you're a curious tech explorer or a seasoned industry insider, our show is designed to connect the dots for you between today's most important stories and tomorrow's future. So you can always catch the latest episode by visiting BelieveMeAchieve.com and then clicking on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. All right, guys, first one. So Mr. President Trump cuts ties with Elon Musk over a policy clash. A major political and a tech clash occurred as Donald Trump officially severed ties with Elon Musk. Now, President Trump was reportedly frustrated over policy disagreements, particularly regarding AI regulations and digital free speech boundaries. This split could signal a deeper divide between political leaders and those in around, yes, Silicon Valley, the Titans, we call them, who were once aligned. The tech industry now watches closely to see how Musk's platforms basically respond and how this impacts his political leverage. So we'll have to see what's going on there. But, I don't know if I buy the fact that it's over, because Trump does a lot of things, just for the reason of just because, right? And that's probably something that a lot of people don't get, right? Is the just because. And so I know a lot of people do things because of a reason. But Mr. Trump, President Trump, I should say, does things to get attention. Okay. That's very, very important to understand. That you are doing things for the right reasons. Okay. And by the right reasons, I mean things that are going to make an impact in your life and those that you care so much about. All right. When somebody just does something willy nilly, all right, what that tells me is that they're doing this, but they're not really doing what's best for everyone. I think that's probably a very, very big concern, a concern that many people don't understand, but it's something that I think a lot of people need to realize. They need to realize this. And so when you decide to do something for whatever reason that is, you have to understand that if you're doing something just to get seen or to get heard, well, then chances are you're going to run into problems. I mean, that's just a given, guys. That is a big, big given. And so, what Trump did, I don't know if I believe it. I have a strong hunch that it could be a political ploy. I mean, it could be. I'm not saying it is, but I just know he's done things like this in the past. All right. So we'll have to keep our eyes on him and, what they're doing, because this change is not just going to affect one person. We all know that, right? This is going to affect the global economy and where things are going. So President Donald Trump publicly ended his relationship with billionaire Elon Musk recently, warning of, quote unquote, serious consequences if Musk supports Democratic candidates who oppose Trump's economic agenda. Sounds like a threat to me. Once a major donor to Trump's campaign and a leader of a federal efficiency initiative, Musk has recently criticized Trump's new tax and spending bill as a disgusting abomination, and I quote, prompting a feud that has escalated publicly. Although Musk has deleted posts attacking Trump and insiders, they suggest that he may seek reconciliation. Trump insists he has no plans to speak to Musk, despite the tension. Trump confirmed no intention to cancel government contracts with Musk's companies, like SpaceX and Starlink. The fallout comes as Republicans with slim congressional majorities are surfacing. It pushes to pass the controversial bill by July 4th, even amid warnings it could add a $2.4 trillion increase to the national deficit debt. So I think that's an important thing to understand. And so I don't know if the relationship is kind of like over. Like, people do things in public because they want to make a scene. They want people to react. I mean, so we'll have to just see what happens. Okay, guys? Number 2, the United States halts nuclear part exports to China amid the trade tensions. Now, the United States has escalated its trade restrictions, halting the export of sensitive, quote unquote, nuclear components to China. This move stems from rising concerns over technology misuse and national security. The decision adds a new layer of strain in an already tense trade relationship and highlights the growing challenge of balancing international collaboration with domestic safety interests. I think that's a problem for a lot of people. A lot of people. And so when we think about this whole thing, right, the U.S. suspending licenses for basically the American nuclear equipment suppliers, including companies like, yes, Westinghouse and Emerson, to ship parts to Chinese power plants amid the escalating trade tensions we talked about between the two countries. Now, the move is part of a broader wave of recent export restrictions, and it comes as the U.S. accuses China of breaching a tariff truce and misusing rare earth elements, while China criticizes Washington for overreacting and reaching with export controls. These license suspensions, which could impact hundreds of millions in businesses, also coincide with tightened rules on the critical exports like jet engines, hydraulic fluids, ethane liquid, and advanced design software. Although President Trump and President XI recently spoke, it remains unclear whether that will ease these tensions or reverse the restriction. We don't really know, but I know one thing. They are playing some games because they want to get a certain response. Number 3, the UK judge warns lawyers against using fake AI cases in a system and a stern way. This warning to the legal world. The UK judge cautioned attorneys about referencing fake or AI-generated legal cases in court filings. The warning follows a growing trend, folks, of professionals relying on generative AI tools without verifying their outputs. The incident underscores the urgent need for legal ethics to evolve alongside technological advancements. And I think that's important, what's going on. I mean, what happened a few years ago with that case, right? It was a mess. And the court is starting to realize that they were taken advantage of, and they don't want this to ever happen again. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I can tell you about this, is that they don't want it to happen again. And it was all because of the AI's misuse in that trial, where the attorney got basically long-term sentenced. I don't think he got barred yet, but he can't really practice, so it's almost the same thing. The warning reflects the growing global concerns about lawyers relying on AI-generated briefs but fictitious content in court submissions. And this is definitely something, guys, that I feel most people just don't understand. Maybe they don't want to understand. And I think the reason they don't want to understand is because it's going to change how they have to live. And I know that might sound scary, all right? It might sound scary, but I want to tell you something. I want to tell you that the choice to move forward is completely up to you. So, is it just happening in the UK? It's happening other places too. I mean, this is no secret, right? But now that they're starting to get serious about these cases, and the fact that they want to make sure that they're legitimate and that they actually can do what they say they can, that's what it is at the end of the day. And we'll just have to see, what's going on and why things are going on, because I feel that a lot of people don't really get this. But you can't use AI to just synthesize information. And then the information that you synthesize is wrong. I mean, literally, he brought up cases. He never even took the time or bothered to make sure the case really was real. So we'll have to see what happens. But we will keep you in the loop on that as well. Number 4 this week, China rolls out driverless trucks in major logistics push. And China is deploying fleet of autonomous trucks as part of its smart logistics transformation. Sounds pretty good. The rollout is centered in the key industrial zones and powered by a mix of 5G, AI, and IoT, Internet of Things technologies. With companies like JD Logistics and Alibaba investing heavily in automation, this shift aims to reduce operational costs and streamline delivery networks. I think that's a very, very important thing. Number 5, the United States Postal Service is going to do something pretty cool. You know what that is? Yep. Announcing the biannual stamp price hike through 2027. The United States Postal Service has announced a schedule of biannual stamp price increases through 2027. Will continue after that? Who knows? While intended to address budget deficits and inflationary pressures, the move has drawn criticism from consumer groups. Some worry it could further reduce mail volume as Americans turn to digital alternatives. And I think when we ponder about that, and, we ask ourselves, like right now, how much is a stamp? How much is a first-class stamp? And most people probably don't know. 73 cents is what it costs for a 1-ounce letter. And it will never expire, even if the postage rate goes up, if you buy the forever stamps. That's why it's good to buy the forever stamps. The price for the first class postage being 73 cents, a standard size rectangular postcard stamp costs 56 cents. International global forever stamps, well, they're $1.65. That's a lot of money. Big difference from the 73 cents. So there's some important considerations. First of all, one thing we have to think about is how this works, right? Letters, 1 ounce pieces, 73 cents. The planned price hike on July 13th, that's 1 month from today, okay, is 78 cents. That is a 5-cent increment. It seems more than just the cost of living, right? If you're thinking about domestic postcards, they're 56 cents, but they will go up to 61 cents. International postcard or letters, $1.65 or $1.70. So rubber stamps purchased at the current price, 73 cents, will still be valid for sending a 1 ounce letter even after price increase. So the moral of the story is to definitely get those forever stamps. Also, if you have a postage meter, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but postage meters, I think they did, postage meters save you 1 penny per postage. The other thing I like about these systems is that we have a choice, okay? If you have a first-class letter using a postage meter compared to buying stamps at the post office, you save 4 cents per first-class letter. So the question is, how much, guys, is a metered stamp for 1 ounce? So a metered stamp for a 1 ounce letter is currently costing 69 cents. This is a discount from the retail price of 73 cents for a traditional stamp. And the price of meter stamps will increase to 74 cents. 70, 71, 72. So they're going to go up 4 cents. 70, 71, 72, 73, excuse me, 5 cents, 74 cents, 70, 71, 72, 73, 5 cents. You do get a little bit cheaper when you have a postal meter. But I think a lot of people are scrounging because the fact that the postal services keep raising prices, it's going to be cheaper to call somebody than it is to mail something. And that used to be upside down before. Now it's really messed up. Number 6, NASA risks setbacks if SpaceX Dragon program ends. That's a big one. That's a very, very big one. So NASA's reliance on the SpaceX Dragon, we call it, capsule for the astronaut transport, has raised concerns should the program be discontinued or delayed. Now, Dragon has become the cornerstone of crewed missions to the ISS, and any disruption could derail the U.S. space goals affecting international cooperation and, of course, technological progress in low-level work. I think that's something that a lot of people kind of ponder for a minute. And they think about where things are going. And so with this whole thing with NASA and Elon Musk and the possible ending of SpaceX Dragon, it's only possible. It's not saying it's going to happen. Dragon has become, as I said, the cornerstone of the crewed missions to the ISS. If it was to fall out tomorrow, what would that mean? It would mean the United States would have to be, well, very dependent on Russia. I don't think our country wants to be known on Russia. I just don't think so. I mean, that's just my guess. And maybe that's something you don't quite understand. But I think it comes down to one thing, guys. And that one thing I want to share with you is having a plan. Having a backup plan is so very, very critical. So if, let's just say tomorrow, okay, if we just suppose, what would happen if SpaceX Dragon pulled their support? Well, a lot of things. Potential loss of lives of highly educated, highly sought after people. The program would likely be put on hold for at least several months as NASA and the FAA direct every little step and cubic millimeter of SpaceX manufacturing and vehicle design. At the conclusion of the investigation, key manufacturing steps would be improved and emphasized. New engineering details will lead to new improvement. The history of engineering is paved through with the blood, I should say, of many others on the journey to perfection. Humanity is not perfect, guys, or infallible. So we invent systems to trap our mistakes before we make it to the launch pad. And so you might be saying, John, well, if this happens, are we going to be able to get anywhere? And I think the answer is yes, because it's going to be a lesson for us, a journey for us. So we can't have our heads in the cloud. We just can't. I think that's a very important thing, guys. A very, very important thing. All right. So we're talking about the iOS, by the way. Okay. The next thing is iOS 19 is rumored to include Vision Pro design and AI. So the question you might be asking is when, and it's a very good question, when is iOS 19 releasing? When is iOS 19 releasing? It's likely going to come out in September 2025, alongside the launch of the new iPhone 17. Apple typically releases major iOS updates with the new phones. I mean, that's pretty much, what they do. They're doing it for years. So Apple's planning to merge the design language from the Vision Pro with the iPhone user interface, alongside significant AI feature boosts, expected improvements, including smarter Siri suggestions, adaptive user interfaces, and more personalized experiences, making a leap toward context-aware values. But again, what does all this mean? Again, it's a new thing Apple's doing. And so they're looking at calling this iOS, and this is a real interesting change, they're not going to call it 19. For the first time, Apple's actually going to coincide the version with the year. They're going to call it iOS 26. And this is what was stated at the WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference. And so maybe you're saying to me, John, what's this really going to do for me? Well, these are only rumors. These are not validated, okay? iOS 19, or iOS, I should say, the name that they're going to call it, which is iOS 26, it's expected to be compatible with all iPhones that currently support iOS 18. Meaning devices from the iPhone 11 series and newer will receive the update. Anything below an iPhone 11, well, sorry, you're going to have to get a new phone. This includes the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and the iPhone SE second and third generation. And so now that you understand a little bit about that, I'm hoping that you'll appreciate where it's going and what it's doing. So we don't have a lot of data on it, but we do have some rumors as to the facts that it's going to be obviously more intelligent. The screen is going to be supposedly easier to navigate. I mean, these are just things that they're speculating. We don't have anything in writing on this. I mean, we really don't. And I know you're probably saying, like, this doesn't make sense, right? Apple's trying to really win over a major market share. Now, they have quite a bit of business right now, but things have fallen off for Apple. Okay, they've been up, they've been down. So I think that's important to understand. So what features will be in iOS? It's really iOS 2026. What features will be in there? Well, there's a new design with liquid glass, they call it. Group chat upgrades in Messenger. Pin music for your Apple Music library. Photo app regains navigation to the tab bar. Hold assist for the phone app. And brand new Apple Games app. And I think that's something that we're going to have to wait and see what the heck Apple's going to do. You know, they try to make everything more intuitive. So the new design with liquid glass, it's a feature you've likely already heard about, but it's big. iOS 16 introduces a major new design that impacts every part of your phone. That's pretty cool, guys. Number 2, group chat upgrades. iOS 26 often gives Apple messages throughout while using it. I know I was waiting for the phone to come back. I was doing a PHP install. I should say a PHP reinstall, an update. And I think when we appreciate like where technology was and where technology is going, like that's just huge, guys. That is so huge. It's more than I can ever put into any kind of word, or I should say words. At number 8, guys, Tesla's Optimus robot VP departs amid program reshuffle. The VP overseeing Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot has departed amid that he insists the project is still on track. Industry and analysts suspect strategic pivots may be on top. And that's something that's also, again, this all could be speculation, right? It all could be speculation. Because we really don't have anything concrete. Okay? Optimus was positioned as a breakthrough in AI-driven robotics, and leadership changes could slow or redirect its development over time, guys. Over time, that is. Number 9, Italy confirms spyware targeted migrant activists, not journalists. An official investigation was conducted, and Italy confirmed that controversial spyware tools were deployed against migrant rights activists rather than the journalists. So what does that mean? It means that Italy used their software to gain intelligence, to spy on people. This revelation shifts the narrative and raises lots of questions, especially new ethical concerns about surveillance practices. Transparency advocates argue this further justifies stronger legal framework along digital surveillance. And when we understand how an ecosystem works, when we understand what components are needed in there, then we're able to be less stressed because the environment's going to take care of itself, and that's pretty much what's going to happen. Number 10, guys, Apple introduces brain-computer interface for accessibility. Apple has unveiled a pioneering brain interface. They call it BCI, brain-computer interface. Pretty easy to remember. It's targeted at individuals with mobility challenges. It does this because people, okay, are wanting to have more of a way in life. All right. And this way is a leap forward into assistive tech and reinforces Apple's commitment to inclusive design. Now, that sounds like something that's very, very easy to understand, and it is. But there's a lot, guys, going on in there. I mean, you're talking about stuff that sounds very easy, but at the end of the day, guess what? It's not. It's stuff that you would think would be easy, but it's just not. There are so many laws, there's so many regulations. And so when we try to figure out, like, what works and what doesn't work, we have to understand that bridging into this brain-computer interface world that Apple is supposedly setting up for us could be a good thing, and it also, my friends, could be a bad thing, right? I've told you technology and the tools in technology, they're tools, right? They're not good, and they are not bad. It's how we choose to use them that makes them so. So now that you understand, like, where Apple's going, and the reason they're doing this is because they know that if they get this going, it's going to open up a new market. Like, for example, you guys know right now that Ray-Ban makes the sunglasses. I actually got them not too long ago. So Ray-Ban stories, okay, won't work right now with TikTok. And that's a problem. Okay? There's no integration with TikTok. You can just capture videos with glasses and share them to your Meta accounts, but you would need to upload them manually to TikTok if you want them to appear there. The question you're probably asking is, will Ray-Ban stories ever work with TikTok? Well, I can't give you an answer to that because it's like they're two different entities. They're two different parts of the world. So you could stream with Ray-Ban glasses specifically to Facebook and to Instagram. According to Meta, the live stream ensures your glasses need to be powered on and connected to the Meta AI mobile app. And then you follow the prompts within Facebook or Instagram app to start the streaming sharing. The glasses allow for hands-free listening, offering a unique perspective and showing people that, these technologies have really some big, big benefits. But many people implement and they don't do what's right for the greater good of all concerned. Now, somebody asked me just the other day, John, how do you do what's right for the greater good of all concerned when many of the greater good of all concerned, they all challenge your belief? They challenge your belief. Like, what are you supposed to do when they challenge your belief? I don't know, but I find that it's something that you need to be aware of. I think a lot of the things we do in life are all about being aware, right? If we're aware of something, then we can obviously avoid something. We can do the things we need to do because, again, we are in the moment. We're in that moment. And that moment may not even be your moment when you thought about it. It only becomes your moment when you start to bring everyone else into it. That's a little bit crazy, guys. A little crazy. So before I go into the points, which I always do, I want to ask everyone here a question. If AI technology was suddenly gone tomorrow, what would happen? Now, it's not going to be gone tomorrow, Okay, so don't panic. It's not going anywhere. But what would AI do? What would you do if AI was gone tomorrow? What would you do? Have you ever asked yourself that question? What would happen if AI disappeared tomorrow? The world would face a significant set of disruptions across various sectors. So that would be industrial and infrastructural disruption, critical systems failure. Industries like healthcare, banking, transportation, and entertainment heavily rely on AI for critical process and would experience significant disruptions, logical and security challenges. AI is embedded in supply chains now and security systems. So its disappearance would cause serious short term disruptions in these areas. Economic impact, reduced efficiency and productivity. AI is used in businesses to enhance productivity and promote growth. Without it, companies would struggle to maintain their current levels of efficiency and competitiveness. Slower processes and bottlenecks, tasks currently handled by AI, such as data analysis and customer support by chatbots, would revert to manual procedures, leading to slower processes and potential bottlenecks. Impact on daily life. Loss of a personal experience, smart devices, recommendation algorithms, and personalized experiences would become so obsolete, making daily life less convenient and individualized. Adaptation will be required while humans are resilient and very, let's say, powerful and resourceful. It would need to force them to learn to manage without convenience. AI provides in its various aspects of life, including transportation, entertainment, and potentially even navigating without digital maps. That's just a lot, guys. That is like a lot. Setbacks in science and medicine, hindered research and progress. AI is extensively used in medical research, diagnosis, and treatment planning. Its absence would impede progress in these fields. Technological regression, stalled advancements. The disappearance of AI would halt research and develop in AI related areas like robotics, machine learning, and automation, leading to a reversal of technological progress. But what does it mean in short? The sudden disappearance of AI would be a jarring effect to the public, causing widespread disruption and challenges. The immediate impact would be significant across industries, the economy, daily life, and significant process. So people only ask me, would losing AI tomorrow be like what? Losing AI tomorrow, would it be like a change? Would it be like, let's say, would it be like the Y2K problem? A little bit of breakdown on that. The Y2K problem was a known software bug that threatened to cause widespread system failures because it couldn't model two-digit years at the turn of the millennium. It stemmed from the practice of representing years with only the two last digits, which could lead to date-related errors. The Y2K problem was anticipated and largely mitigated through extensive preparation and remediation efforts by governments and businesses worldwide. The impact of losing AI tomorrow is more complex and very uncertain. It would depend on nature and scale of AI usage today. If AI systems are deeply embedded in critical infrastructures, businesses, and daily life, a sudden loss could have significant consequences. I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying that the initial jar is going to cause people to have that knee-jerk reaction. So consequences of it could be things like job displacement, okay, economic disruption, a decline in human skills. That's really key, guys. and critical thinking due to over-reliance on AI. I want to touch on that for a moment. And what I want to share with that is that when we think about AI, okay, and we think about math and technology, a lot of kids and a lot of people in the world, they cannot make change. They do not go through that mental exercise in their head. They just don't. A society dependent on AI could also face vulnerabilities to AI failures like cyber attacks or biases. Other concerns include potential erosion of privacy, risks of surveillance, and homogenization of thought and creativity. The concentration and concentration of AI power could also lead to manipulation or control, and the computational power required for AI models raises environmental concerns. Finally, there are worries about diminished human-to-human interaction as a result of AI-driven automation. While the UK's, I should say the Y2K problem was specific, time-bound technical challenge losing AI tomorrow would be a much more significant, broader problem, more complex event with potentially far-reaching, unpredictable consequences that even if we spent an hour or two to come up with them, I come up with many of them, but there would still be some that we may not be aware of. And I think that's a huge thing for so many people I talk to each day. AI is not going anywhere, all right? And here's the part of the show that I really, really love the most. So I'm going to go ahead and basically give you some points. I'm going to give you some stories. So I'm going to basically give you one personal story or lesson for each point. Okay. And it's my hope that you'll take these points and apply them into your life. Apply them into your life. Now, I'm not going to say, guys, that every point is easy. Okay? I'm not going to say that. But I want to let you know that if you make excuses for yourself, right? Whether it's AI or whether it's some other technology or something else in our world, if we constantly make excuses for something, then we're obviously going to be causing problems. Trump cuts ties with Elon Musk over policy clash. I remember once collaborating with a powerful business associate who shared my vision until our values around data privacy diverged. And I was very concerned about keeping things safe. He, on the other hand, was not. Like Trump and Musk, what started as alignment became a clash, more than a disalignment. The lesson: always make sure partnerships are built on what you need, and they're the core values. So beliefs don't get in the way. But when core beliefs collide, even the strongest alliances can break, can fall apart. Thinking about the U.S. halting the nuclear part exports to China amid trade, big problem. Years ago, I was doing some work on a tech export project where we had to pause everything due to compliance risks. It reminded me how global partnerships can shift on a dime. Protecting intellectual property and national interests often outweigh the business growth, and being proactive in understanding expert laws is non-negotiable, guys. Number 3, the UK judge warns lawyers against using fake AI cases. I once tested an AI writing tool and found it made up sources. It gave wrong answers to math problems. It didn't understand things. And then when I challenged it, it was like, oh, you're right. That shocked me and made me realize how important it is to cross-check every AI-generated claim, every AI-generated query. This story shows why professionals must never blindly trust technology, especially AI technology, without a human review. I've always said you got to have at least 1 or 2 humans in the loop. Tech is a tool, guys. It's not a truth machine. And it's not good. It's not bad. It's how we choose to use it that makes it so. Number 4, China rolls out the driverless trucks in major logistics push. So I remember a tech conference where I saw a demo of a driverless delivery robot, and that was interesting. I would like to suggest that we look at what's going on. I recall a tech conference where I saw a live demo of a driverless delivery robot. At first, I'm like, wow, this is cool. It wowed me. It wowed the crowd. But I also noticed how many safety checks were running behind the scenes. China's move shows the scale of what's possible, but also the responsibility of making it truly safe and efficient. And I think that's the thing that scares a lot of people, is that we can't just be running on things like Terminator, right? We have to make sure that the data is correct. We can't just look at it once and say it's correct, because that's going to just screw everything up. Number 5, the United States Postal Service announces the biannual stamp price hike through 2027. This just blows my mind. I remember running a direct mail campaign, and we do a lot in the marketing company. Stamps ate into our budget very fast. The United States Postal Service raised prices twice a year. And it may seem like you just can't do it, right? And so the stamp costs, as I said, ate into our budget very fast. The United States Postal Service raising prices twice a year may seem small, but over time, it adds up, especially for small businesses. It taught me to diversify marketing strategies and never rely on a single channel, because, hey guys, a single channel might be wrong and you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You've got to use different baskets. Number 6, our good old friends at NASA. Yes, risk setback if SpaceX Dragon program ends. Once I visited Kennedy Space, actually visited a few times, and I watched SpaceX's launch. It was awe-inspiring. SpaceX breathed new life into NASA's missions. But the story reminded me not to lean too heavily on one solution. Always build in redundancy and partnerships that can scale when the time needs that. Number 7, the iOS 19 rumored to include Vision 17 and Pro. And I think that's a very important thing. Okay. Apple's rumored updates reminded me, like I said, of a redesign that I had for my own app to be more intuitive. Just small changes in the design boosted engagement drastically. Apple's strategy shows how merging creative things in design can boost engagement. So Apple's strategy shows that this merge with the hardware and software can create a smarter and more unified user experience. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't really take home. Tesla Optimus Robot VP departs amid program reshuffle. I've seen promising projects stumble after visionary leaders have left. Sometimes they leave for personal reasons, family or other. Other times they leave because they don't want to be part of the project or people aren't listening to them. It doesn't always mean failure, guys, but it does require strong hands-off and a resilient team. Tesla's reshuffle is a good reminder that leadership transitions must be planned with precision. That hits home, guys. That hits home. When somebody leaves the company, they don't want to leave the company. They leave the company because of something that happened, right? And that's probably a good thing. If somebody asked me, hey, John, why do top executives and engineers leave a company on their own. I think what you would get from me is this. They're tired of what's there. They want a new challenge, right? They feel like they're dead end. Misalignment with the company's direction and their own core values. Leadership restructuring. Major organizations or acquisitions can shift responsibility and reduce autonomy. This can make former empowered leaders feel sidelined or undervalued, prompting shifts. Culture shifts or erosion. A company's internal culture is a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. And they want to go out on a high note. Number 6, burnout or work-life rebalancing. Even the most dedicated professionals can hit a wall. Long hours, high stress, or personal life shifts, like family or health or friends. And it can drive the decision to step back or just slightly pivot. Number 7, financial independence or basically exiting windfall. If they've cashed out on stock options or equity, they may simply feel it's the right time to explore passion projects, start a venture on their own, or take a break. Maybe better offers or poaching has approached them. Top talent is always in demand. Sometimes it's as simple as being offered a meaningful, powerful, creative contract that allows you to express your freedom. I think that's something that's very, very powerful. And the lesson with number 9, Italy confirms spyware targeted migrant activists. Now, not journalists. Years back, I worked on a cybersecurity case that involved ethical questions. It's a delicate balance, guys. Security versus rights and freedom. This news from Italy highlights how easily surveillance can be misused and reinforces why strong checks and balances need to happen not just once, but many times. Apple introducing the brain-computer interface, the BCI, for accessibility at an expo recently. I met a man using an eye tracking software to code. It was life-changing for him. Apple's brain interface tech built on that. Same mission, empowering those with mobility challenges. Tech likes this reminds us why inclusivity should always be central in any design. Number 11, Arizona Supreme Court launching the AI avatars for legal news. I once used a chatbot to answer some facts on my site. It saved hours each week. Arizona's use of AI avatars shows how even the legal world is embracing automation to connect better with the public. But human oversight is still essential. So when I did that, I always went back and checked to make sure those answers were correct. That's key. Number 12, Nintendo Switch 2 launch sparks an amazing global retail frenzy. Remember when the original Switch launched? I remember standing in line to buy it. The excitement was so electric. You could feel it in every muscle, every bone and cell and ligament and tendon in your body. I stood in line to buy it, and I just waited there patiently. The excitement was electric. It reminded me how, if you could basically connect to something else. And so, excitement and the electricity caused me to really appreciate this. It also reminded me how great tech connects people through play. Switch 2's buzz shows that emotion is a powerful driver in tech adoption. 13, the NTSB links jet fire to fuel leak in and around the maintenance failures in tech. One overlooked detail can lead to a complete disaster, and that disaster, guys, could mean, unfortunately, someone losing their life or more. I once ignored a minor warning until it caused a full-on crash. The jet fire story is a stark reminder of why routine maintenance and attention to small red flags can prevent major failures. Maybe you're saying, John, my website is perfect. I never have any issues. So I've said this before, guys. It's not a question of if you're going to get attacked, but when, if you are not properly protected. I think that's probably something that most people don't understand and don't appreciate. It's not a question of if you're going to get attacked, but when, if you're not properly protected. That's pretty amazing, right? So I'm saying to you, it's not a question of if, but when, if you're not properly protected. So that means that you've got to be doing certain things to ensure that you are doing your best, right? And that you're going to mitigate any damages. I've said to you before that if you don't do proactive checks, being reactive is going to cost you more money than being proactive. So in this project we were working on, everything was very smooth. However, one of the cores we were using for a chat system said everything was good. The libraries were good. Everything was updated. So we figured everything was fine because it had like an engine that went out and checked the core. Well, we noticed that their site suddenly went down. I'm like, well, what happened? And so I remember when this happened the very first time, I remember how I felt. Of course, we were proactive. Okay. And I know that by doing what's going on and doing the things proactively, I know that that can make a huge difference in your life and so many other people's lives. Okay. I think that's probably one of the big things that I can share with you is that maybe it's not about just today. It's about the bigger picture. So we obviously caught this issue of, what happened. And what we wound up doing was we basically looked at what was going on. And I will tell you that we discovered the leak was coming from a vulnerability in a chat script. Now, even though we saw everything was fine, we still had to do what we needed to make sure this didn't happen or cause any problem. So we were proactive. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I'll catch you guys real soon. Be well, everyone.